Because my first cut of Arjun Reddy was 4 hours 22 minutes.
No way.
Seriously.
What else does he do? What did you cut out?
Imagine watching a movie where every scene drags on, transitions feel jarring, and the story loses its punch. Sounds terrible, right? That's where the magic of editing comes in. Editing is the invisible art that shapes the narrative, controls the pace, and brings the director's vision to life. So many things have to go right. The pacing, the right music at the right time, knowing when to cut, when to transition. It's like navigating a complex maze. Not many directors edit their own movies. To name a few examples, Hrishikesh Mukherjee wrote, directed and edited the classic 1971 movie Anand. James Cameron for Titanic and Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity are the only two film directors who have won an Academy Award in the editing department. So in this video, we are going to explore how the writer-director Sandeep Reddy Vanga masterfully edits his movies to keep us hooked from start to finish. Let's get started. First up, let's talk about the elephant in the editing room, cutting the unnecessary portions.
So the distributors rejected the film. They said, we can't release 3 hours 5 minutes. So I bought it to 3 hours 2 minutes.
One of the biggest challenges in filmmaking is deciding what to leave out. Cutting unnecessary portions is crucial because it keeps the narrative focused and the pacing tight. This is where the concept of a director's cut comes in, a version of the film that includes scenes and sequences the director wanted but was removed in the final cut due to studio demands, runtime considerations, or pacing issues. Did you know that the director's cut of Arjun Reddy was over 4 hours and 20 minutes? The movie was reduced down from 4 hours 20 minutes to 3 hours 40 minutes, and the final cut ended up at 3 hours 2 minutes. That's a 30% reduction from the director's cut to ensure the final product was polished and audience friendly. Imagine the heartbreak of cutting scenes you have spent hours writing, designing, and producing, only to spend weeks and months editing them out. When it comes to cutting out the unnecessary portions, Sandeep uses a straightforward measure. Is the scene boring me? Is it holding my attention? If not, it's gone. Another interesting technique Vanga uses is what he calls the opposite emotional effect. For instance, did you know that in Animal, there was supposed to be a kiss scene between Abrar and Vijay while they were fighting? This scene was supposed to lead to Vijay asking Abrar to make peace later on, with Abrar responding in that infamous unzipping scene. Both scenes had opposite effect on the story, so Vanga cut the kiss scene and kept the latter. Another example involves a backstory for Abrar. During the fight, we would have seen young Abrar witnessing his grandfather's suicide. In the final cut, we see Vijay's flashback of his father Balbir getting shot, giving him strength to overcome Abrar. Vanga cut Abrar's backstory for a couple of reasons. The background song Sari Duniya Jala Denge didn't fit, and to avoid the opposite emotional effect. Plus, there is a twist reveal in the post-credits that makes it all clear. By not building a connection with Abrar's backstory, Vanga sets up a bigger cinematic high when Aziz is introduced. We, the audience, end up rooting for Vijay, leading to an epic shock when Aziz arrives in the post-credit scene. The third theme is dramatic revelations. To better explain this, let's look at two examples. Remember that iconic scene in Kabir Singh where Kabir first sees Preeti walking while he's lounging in the college gardens. The same scene in Arjun Reddy is one of the most beautifully shot scenes. As the audience, we naturally assume Kabir sees Preeti first, but did you know that Preeti has already noticed Kabir before? Flashback to the scene where the college dean is scolding Kabir in front of the class. The scene where Kabir says, "I'm not a rebel without a cause." Guess who is sitting in the back of the very class? It's Preeti. This subtle detail is easy to miss even after multiple viewings. Originally, there was a focus shot of Preeti in that scene, but director Sandeep Reddy Vanga decided to cut it out. He believed the moment where Preeti's father introduced her to Kabir held more dramatic weight compared to a mere glance from afar. In Animal, there's a tense scene where Gitanjali's parents visit her. Before this, there was a scene where they visited Vijay in the hospital. The aftermath of that meeting left Vijay unimpressed and highlighted the tension between him and Gitanjali's parents. However, Sandeep chose to cut this scene. He felt that the subsequent scene, the one we see in the film, more effectively conveyed the relationship, and it showed Vijay's positive side where he was waving his hands towards his in-laws as a gesture of happy relations. All these were just a few examples that prevent the film from dragging and ensure that every moment on screen adds value to the story or character development. Next up, let's talk about the different editing cuts, which are essential tools in any editor's kit. I won't go into a lot of detail about each of them, and if you want to learn more, check out a video from Shutterstock tutorials I have linked in the description. It talks about all the editing cuts with examples, so it's definitely worth a watch. In this video, we'll only focus on the 3 cuts that are common in modern filmmaking: the L cut, J cut, and the jump cut. When done right, these can elevate a scene from good to unforgettable.
Now children, behave yourselves!
An L cut is where the audio from the previous scene continues as the next scene begins. This technique helps create smooth transitions and maintains the narrative flow. Take a look at this scene from Arjun Reddy.
Whoever causes hurt to any person by doing any act so rashly or negligently as to endanger.
The decision about Arjun's medical license is being heard, but the focus has already shifted to Arjun. Vanga uses this technique to extend the emotional impact, especially in scenes where dialogue continues over a different visual, highlighting the character's inner turmoil or the gravity of the situation. A J cut is the opposite of an L cut. Here, the audio from the next scene starts before the visual transition happens. This can build anticipation or link scenes thematically. Check out this scene from Animal. The siren sound is heard first, followed by Vijay entering the factory. Vanga uses J-cuts to create tension and anticipation, especially in the build-up to action scenes. You will hear the click of guns or footsteps before the characters appear on the screen. Lastly, we have the jump cut, an abrupt transition between two sequential shots, creating a jarring effect that skips part of the action. A jump cut might look something like this.
And I always felt when I was writing, I can't jump cut in between. When there is an emotional arc, if without completing it, I can't jump cut.
Compared to Arjun Reddy, Animal has a lot of jump cuts, where scenes fast forward. For instance, in the hospital scene, Balbir and Gitanjali are trying to talk to Vijay, who says he can't hear anything. That transition, although a jump cut, felt a bit hasty. The action sequences before the Arjun Valli song also had a plenty of jump cuts. Sandeep Reddy Vanga masterfully uses his editing cuts to add depth and pacing to his stories, enhancing viewer engagement. Next up, we'll talk about how Sandeep Reddy Vanga breaks the rule of thirds to achieve stronger imagery for his characters. The rule of thirds is a fundamental principle in visual composition, widely used in photography, film, and art. It involves dividing an image into 9 equal parts. By positioning the subject off-center, you create a more dynamic and engaging composition. This technique encourages the viewer's eye to naturally move through the image, exploring other elements, making the imagery more pleasing and natural. But Vanga breaks this rule by placing the subject dead center. This central composition creates a sense of symmetry and balance, making the image feel more stable and harmonious. In all of Vanga's films, you'll notice characters placed in the dead center, creating a solid focal point for the audience. This technique bleeds into a powerful imagery that resonates deeply with viewers. And lastly, let's talk about timing. Timing is crucial because it influences the overall flow, rhythm, and impact of the final piece. How often have you said this after watching a movie? That sequence was too long, or I wish they showed more of this. Often scenes are edited out or shortened, and if this isn't done correctly, it leads to lackluster narratives. In Vanga's films, scene timing is spot on. Yes, the first 30 to 45 minutes of Animal's second half did drag a bit, but you wouldn't blame the editing for it. The screenplay was intentionally toned down, which was a creative choice. Vanga relies heavily on his gut feeling. He mentioned in multiple interviews that the timing of a cut or transition as he feels it is more valuable than strict adherence to rules. This intuition is why his movies keep you engaged and on the edge of your seat. So there you have it, the magic of Sandeep Reddy Vanga's editing style. If you enjoyed this breakdown, feel free to check out the video here where I talk about how Sandeep Reddy Vanga writes sound in screenwriting. Don't forget to like, share or subscribe for more cinematic insights. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay tuned and keep watching.